Chapter 1 of Campfire Girls in the Allegheny Mountains. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Lucy Burgoyne. Campfire Girls in the Allegheny Mountains, or A Christmas Success Against Odds, by Stella M. Francis. Chapter 1 The Grand Council Fire. Wo he lo for I, wo he lo for I, wo he lo, wo he lo, wo he lo for I, wo he lo for work, wo he lo for health, wo he lo, wo he lo, wo he lo for love. 239 girl voices chanted the wo-he-lo cheer with weird impressiveness. The scene alone would have been impressive enough, but Camp Fire Girls are not satisfied with that kind of enough. Once their imagination is stimulated with the almost limitless possibilities of the craft, they are not easily pleased with anything but a finished product. The occasion was the last Grand Council Fire of Hiawatha Institute for Camp Fire Girls, located in the Allegheny city of Westmoreland. The classroom work had been rushed a day ahead. Examinations were made almost perfunctory, and for them also the clock had been turned 24 hours forward. The curriculum was finished, and the day just closed had been devoted to preparation for a Grand Council wind-up for the 15 fires of the Institute, which would break ranks on the following day and scatter in all directions for home and the Christmas holidays. And there was literal truth in this break ranks method of dismissing school at the Institute. Since the United States entered the European War on the side of the anti-frightfulness allies, Hiawatha had become something of a military school. The girls actually drilled with guns, and they would shoot those guns with all the grim fatality of so many boys. Not that they expected to go to war and descend into the trenches and fire hailstorms of steel-coated death messengers at the enemy. Oh no, they might, but they were sensible enough not to let their imagination carry them so far. But preparedness was in the air, and the girls voted to a girl, I almost said man, for they were as brave as men in many respects, to take up military drill and tactics 2 hours a week as a part of their curriculum. Madame Cleaver, head of the Institute, did not start the military movement rashly. She was carefully diplomatic in the conduct of her school, for she must satisfy the critical tastes and ideas of a high-class parentage clientele. But she also kept her fingers on the pulse of affairs, and knew pretty well how to strike a popular vein. Hence the membership of her classes was always on the increase. Indeed, at the beginning of this school year, she had to turn away something like 40 applicants, for want of room and accommodations. Hiawatha Institute was founded as a Camp Fire Girls' school, and when Uncle Sam became involved in the European War, the national need for nurses appealed strongly to Camp Fire Girls everywhere. What could they do? The very nature of the training of the girls, from wood gatherer to torch bearer, made the question, so far as they were concerned, a self-answering one. They had all the broad common sense rudiments of nursing. With some advanced science on top of this, they would be experts. But military authorities said that the nurses ought to have some military drill. War nurses must be organized, and there was no better method of effecting this orderly requisite than by military training. One well-known captain of infantry informed Madame Cleaver that war nurses could not reach the highest grade of efficiency unless they were able to march in columns from one camp to another and be distributed in squads at the points needed. With all this information at her tongue's end, the madam put the matter to her uniformed girls in the assembly hall. Rumour of what was coming had reached them in advance, so that it did not fall as a surprise. The vote was unanimous in favour of the plan. The needed nursing expert was already a member of the faculty. The classes were formed a few days later. These were the girls that gathered around a big outdoor campfire. It was really a bonfire, in the snow of midwinter on the evening of the opening of this story. Most of them were rich men's daughters, but there were no snobs among them. They were girls of vigour and vim, intelligence and imagination, practical and industrious. They were lively and fond of a good time, but most of them, at least, would not slight a duty for pleasure. Behind every enjoyment was a pathway of tasks well done. Madame Cleaver was chief guardian of the 15 campfires of the Institute. The faculty was not large enough to supply all the adult guardians required, but that fact did not prove by any means an insurmountable difficulty. More than enough young women in Westmoreland, well qualified to fill positions of this kind, volunteered to donate their services in order to make the Camp Fire organisation of the school complete. Indeed, these volunteer guardians added materially to their influence and rank in the community by becoming connected with the Institute. There was, in fact, a waiting list of volunteers constantly among the social leaders of the place. The chief guardian was mistress of ceremonies at the Grand Council Fire. 239 girls in uniform, brown coats, campfire hats, and brown duck hiking boots stood around the fire answering "Cola" in unison by groups as the roll of the fires was called. As each fire was called and the answer returned, the guardian stepped forward and gave a little recitation of current achievements. This program was varied here and there with music by a girls' chorus and a girls' orchestra. Everything went along with the smoothness, although with some of the deep dips and lofty lifts, of grand opera, until the name of the last campfire, Flamingo, was called. Miss Harriet Ladd, the guardian, stepped forward and said: "Madam Chief Guardian, Associate Guardians, and Camp Fire Girls of Hiawatha Institute, I bring to you a message of things planned by Flamingo Camp Fire Girls, 13 in number. As you know, there is in an adjoining state a strike of coal miners that has caused much suffering among the poor families of the strikers. High Peak lives in a mountain mining district. Her father is a mine owner and has given his consent to the extending of an invitation to Flamingo Camp Fire to work among these poor families and give them relief during the Christmas holidays. The arrangements have been completed, and the girls will start for Holly Hill tomorrow. Hooray! 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 Hooray for High Peak! Hooray for Marion Stanlock! Hooray for Flamingo Camp Fire!" The cheers, shrill on the sharp winter air, now in unison, now in confusion, came not from the assembled Camp Fire girls, although from nearly as many voices. Out from the timber thicket to the west of the campus rushed a small army of khaki clad figures. There were a few screams among the girls, but not many. To be sure, everybody was thrilled, but nobody fainted. There were a few moments of suspense, followed by bursts of laughter and applause from the girls. "It's the Spring Lake Boy Scouts!" cried Marion Stanlock, who was first to announce an explanation of the surprise. Clifford Long, are you responsible for this?" The Boy Scout patrol leader, thus addressed, did not reply, though he recognized the challenge with a wave of his hand. He was busy bringing his patrol in matching line with the other patrols. As if realizing their purpose, the circle around the camp fire was broken at a point nearest the newly arrived invaders, and an avenue of approach was formed by the lining up of some of the girls in two rows extended out towards the Boy Scouts. In double file 150 boys marched in and around the camp fire, then faced towards the outer ring of Camp Fire Girls and bowed acknowledgment of the courteous reception. End of Chapter 1.